one power, invisible, and just see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power.
Good morning. That was it, huh? Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning. And such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. Welcome everyone to CSL Midtown, coming to you this morning from Atlanta, Georgia. We are so glad that you have joined us today. We welcome all people, no matter who you are or where you are in your life. We welcome everyone who's listening online, either live now or perhaps you're listening to a recording of this. And of course, we welcome everyone who's here in the room. Thank you so much for being here. This is our once a month in-person service. We always meet the first Sunday of every month in person, followed by a lovely potluck. So if you're ever in the Atlanta area, please plan to join us. Our center does reflect the beautiful, diverse tapestry of life that is everywhere present. So we welcome you, whoever you are and whatever path brought you here today. We know that you are an individual expression of the divine life in which we all live. And you are welcome to connect it and be a part of our spiritual community. I hope that you'll find ways to be involved and connected. And we hope that those of you who are watching this broadcast on any social media platform, such as Facebook or YouTube, will like and share this broadcast with your friends. All right, so let's move on. For a better understanding of who we are and what we teach, let's listen now to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes.
I believe
in one God,
one absolute power and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love
and creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life
and the immortality of the individual soul,
forever unfolding.
I believe
in the eternal goodness,
the eternal goodness of God,
the eternal loving kindness,
and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
It's nice to see some people that we haven't seen here in a while, and just want to recognize Reverend Dr. Bob Dean just walked in, so welcome and happy to see you here this morning. The full Declaration of Principles available on our website. If anybody ever wants to read the whole thing, it's really quite something else. Anyway, my name is Judy Aehle, and I'm the moderator this morning and the practitioner. And as we know, the theme for this year, 2024, is Grand Rising. And so we're beginning our monthly themes during August. And the theme for this month is called Status Unquo. When I read that, I thought, what? Status unquo? That just sounds weird. You know, like the last month, what was it? Oh, I can't remember. Like it was imperfectly perfect or whatever that was. I was like, that was weird too. Status unquote. But anyway, I'm going with it. Today's theme is the impact of othering, O-T-H-E-R, othering. What is the status quo that we always expect when we come together with our spiritual community? Basically, we all know what's going to happen. Everyone knows kind of what people wear. They know what the topics are going to be. You know what to expect, how the music will go, what the spiritual mind treatment will be like. We're all comfortable with the status quo of things in our lives. And this theme this month is asking us to step out of our comfort zone and to step beyond the usual. There are a lot of topics that we typically don't talk about here. Excuse me. Things like marginalization, trauma, abuse, disabilities, shame, chronic illness, racism, poverty, even politics, even sex, just to name a few, and I'm sure the list could go on and on. In this teaching, we teach oneness, and oneness equals wholeness. Therefore, no topic is really taboo. It's all part of the great oneness of life. And in this spiritual community, we have the opportunity to become radically inclusive and welcoming of all. We may look around us and mostly see people who look just like us and act just like us. But if we truly believe in oneness, then all people are included. And I think our spiritual community does a pretty darn good job with this, but it's always good to kind of bring this to the surface and think about it. Through the application of Science of Mind principles, we aim to uplift and support every individual in their grand rising. As we embrace oneness, there is no other. I like to think of it, there is no us and them. We see that so much in the world. We are invited to transcend that illusion of differences which appear to separate us from others. The concept of othering, which is today's theme, which we are making an attempt to dissolve today, is a mental process in which individuals or groups are treated and perceived as different or separate or sort of alien from our group. It's the us-them mentality. It's superiority or inferiority of others that comes into play. If you ever sort of feel like you're inferior to other people, well, that's part of this too. Or if you feel like maybe you're just have it a little more together than other people. Same thing. Fear of others different from ourselves. In this teaching of radical welcoming, we include and accept others, and we work towards that. So we may not always be perfect, but anyway, that was my thought about status unquo. And I know that throughout this month of August, there's going to be lots of delving into that from different angles and from different things. All right. Anyway, I'm going to stop with that part, and I'm going to lead us now into a spiritual mind treatment, which will be followed by music for reflection. And I hope that you'll just take a moment to breathe and to accept these words for yourself. I'm going to do this treatment in the first person, and please accept this for yourself. I recognize and know that there is only one presence, there is only one power, there is only one goodness, one life, one field of energy that is everywhere present. It expresses through me in every way. It expresses through the outside world, through every person that I meet, through every situation that I see, through all of nature, through the way the planets are perfectly in balance and moving through the solar system, that there is this great power for good, this great balancing goodness that is everywhere present. And I know that I am perfectly aligned with it. I am filled with it. I am connected with it. It expresses through me as vibrant health and aliveness and energy. It expresses through me as great ideas, as infinite intelligence, as great endless creativity, new ways of looking at situations in the world, situations in my life. It expresses through me as opulent abundance, only desiring to express in greater and greater ways, as love, as peace, as beauty, as divine goodness of every kind. So I just sink into the knowingness of that oneness and the unity of that. This oneness, this unity cannot be divided against itself, can never be separated. We can never be separated from it. So we turn away from any ideas of lack, limitation, struggle, strain, worry, feeling of unsafe. We turn away from all of that and instead sink into the truth of our wholeness with this goodness, with this presence, with this power that is us, that expresses through us. I affirm and know that CSL Midtown is a great place. It's a great place for the expression of spirit, for people to come and transform their lives, for people to feel connected and loved and cherished. I know that our center is growing and that all is well with it as it expands and embraces all of life. So I'm just grateful for this. I just take this moment to be grateful for being here today. And I release this treatment now, knowing that it is absolutely perfectly so. So I release this now, and so it is. So now we have our music. What do we have? Karen Drucker. All right. Ooh.
These times are troubling me, so much I can hardly see through the walls keeping us apart. You got your views and I got mine, but we're together in this moment in time. I hope you can hear me with your heart. I'm not trying to push you away, but I've got something I've got to say. Stand for love, I stand for peace, I stand for humanity and the good of all. I stand for hope, I stand for faith, I stand for freedom and the good of all. I stand, I stand, I stand. Would you stand with me? Stand with me. When we don't understand, we turn away instead of learning that there could be another way. Can we agree to disagree? We may never see things eye to eye, but we can hold on to the love between you and I. It's the only way we'll survive. And I'm not trying push you away. I got something I've got to say. I stand for love, I stand for peace, I stand for humanity and the good of all. I stand for hope, I stand for faith, I stand for freedom and the good of all.
All right. That was awesome. I wanted to just say before I introduce our speaker that I hope that afterwards we have a little discussion. And anyway, I hope that before we eat, we sort of have a discussion. So we need to just remember that. We don't like race off and eat. Anyway, I didn't mean to get into that. That sounded weird. So anyway, our speaker today is no stranger to our center. We welcome back Reverend Dr. John Karn. He is a licensed ordained minister since 2015, which doesn't sound that long ago to me, but I guess it actually is. He has a doctorate of divinity and a doctorate in religious science. He's a certified hospice chaplain and religious science practitioner, and he has been on the faculty of the Emerson Theological Institute since 2014 and the dean of students there since 2023. Besides teaching, his passion is to serve the disenfranchised. He is served on the Emerson Theological Institute Board of Directors and the affiliated New Thought Network Board of Directors. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Dr. John Karn.
Thank you. Well, thank you. After that, it's like you better perform, boy. So my talk today will change other people. Does it sound good? All right. I just think that a little bit sassy. It's based on, the title itself was based on something Raymond Charles Barker did. So, how to change other people. My first question is, who are these people? Who is it that needs to be changed? Why? And why is so much my space, my mental real estate. I only have so much, we have to take advantage of every bit we can get. As I started writing this song, I started hearing a song in the back of my mind. And the song was from the Mikado opera, The Lord High Executioner, singing I Got a Little List. Bob gets it. I have had one other person that's known what even knew the Lord of the Mikado. But I grew up who was a performer and a symphony player, and she had to take me everywhere with her because I guess there weren't enough babysitters. And so I was probably 5 or 6 when I was taken to the Mikado. And it's really interesting when you think about it, how the things we learn or hear with music in the background stay with us forever, really. There's all sorts of old files in there we don't even know about. I didn't know that file was lurking in my mind, and it popped up, and I thought, well, let me look back at this. So Gilbert and Sullivan wrote operas from about 1850 to about 1875. They were all comedies. The I Got a Little List is sung by the Lord High Executioner and the Mikado. And it starts off, besides Bob, is there anyone else that might know this song? I've got a little list, I've got a little list. All righty. Make everyone run. All righty, so he starts off with society offenders or people who won't go along. He wants to knock them off. He says they'll never be missed. No one will miss them. Then there's the pestilential nuisances who write for autographs, all people who have flabby hands and irritating laughs, all children who are up on dates and floor you with them flat, all persons who are shaking hands, shake hands with you like that. And third of all, the persons who break up a tete-a-tete. That's a spoiling afternoon tryst. They'd none of them be missed. They'd none of them be missed. And the background singers are going, he's got a little list, he's got a little list, and they'd none of them be missed. They'd none of them be missed. Woo. So I have a little list too. Or I had one before I learned about religious science, before the evolution of my consciousness. And so when I was younger, I'd say in my 20s, I could blame the government for the issues that I was having. I could blame the IRS for those taxes they wanted from me. I could blame those pesky laws about car insurance and tags that were cutting into my party time money. I could blame the school system. I came from the Florida school system. I could blame the church for sure, because the only church I knew about back then was evangelicals, and they were the only ones that were on TV. And so I blamed them for everything that was challenging in my world. Of course, one of the things we have to do as we are on the spiritual journey is start working on the release of these old thoughts that do not serve us. These are thoughts, if we let sit around in our head, they're only going to create something that doesn't make things better. And now that's the guide I use for myself. If I get on a negativity trip or something has set me off and I just want to say something, I've been thinking about this and I go to that. Because no matter how justified I am in being right or correct or upset, it doesn't make the world a better place. It's not going to make my world any better. It's not going to make anyone else's world any better out there. And so I've learned to work on that. And I believe I'm significantly improving. And to take this a little bit deeper, I was listening to a podcast, just as I was working on this podcast came up from Galen McDowell from Christ in Chicago. And he has a podcast. It was on Unity FM. It's now on whatever streamer he is with. It downloads automatically. And he is from Johnny Coleman Church, if you guys know who she is. And he's the associate minister there. And of course, they have the other locations now everywhere. But he spoke about us having a crucifixion before we can have a resurrection. And he was talking about Easter. This was just a talk out there in the middle of the year. And he was saying we can bring all the past stuff with us into the now or into whatever is next. But having that stuff here layered with some new thought on top of it doesn't serve. There's not a clear enough consciousness for this to be of service to us or to the world. So we have to deal with that stuff that's coming up in a way that serves us and then continue to work on our journey. We will get there. We just have to work at it a little bit along the way, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. The next moment. Is it still with you? Or can you get so involved in the moment you're in that it's no longer there? Raymond Charles Barker, my inspiration. As some of you know, he was Kennedy Schultz's teacher. Are there people in here who don't know who Kennedy Schultz was? There you go. So Raymond Charles Barker was the minister of First Religious Science Church in New York City. Kennedy Schultz was one of his graduates, came down here to Atlanta and started the First Church Religious Science of Atlanta. Okay, I'm getting the nose over here. Get it right. Atlanta Church of Religious Science. Okay. I want to say Wendy Williams and her partner so many years were at the First Church, which was a different one. All righty. Raymond Charles Barker says to us that metaphysics is the science of handling our own thoughts. It's not the science of handling anyone else's thoughts. Yet one of the most common things that happens to religious science churches and practitioners is people coming in to discuss needing help or counseling or a treatment, and their problem is all about somebody else who needs to be changed. And we've all been there, right? And of course, I have some in my mind too. I say like attracts like, and they show up. But no teacher worthy, according to him, no teacher worthy of Christ's message would lower themselves to attempt to change someone else. There is a Bible scripture from the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 22, that says, "Look unto me and be ye saved." Notice it does not say, "Look unto me and be ye hurt and confused." And so the metaphysical interpretation of that scripture is about seeing God in everyone, even the most challenging people. Look unto me and be ye saved. And do you see how that can work for you? If you can go within when you're being challenged by someone out there, particularly during political seasons that we have to deal with. And it might not even be that, it could be other stuff, but it will come up. We all have it come up every once in a while. And you can know this means I go within and I see God in each and every person. Look unto me and be ye saved. Can you see God in everyone and everything? And I can tell you, when I've worked as a chaplain in a prison as part of my internship, I can work with the rapist. I can work with the murderer, the drug dealer. I can work with most of those things. The thing people have the most troubles working with from our end, the ministers, would be the sex offenders. I can still work with that person, provided I don't know anything about who the other parties were. Because when you know the other parties, it gets real, and we have a little bit of judgment come up. So a lot of times it's just best not to even know what they were doing that got them there. But again, the most important point of that is to know, you'd be surprised who you could work with. Most of us, I wanted to share with you another one from Raymond Charles Barker. He talked about the person that went to work and had to deal with someone that was really abrasive all day, one of the coworkers. This happened to me at one point when I was at work in an office with the cubicles. So you already knew it was pretty miserable in the cubicles. My mother used to say they were rat chases or rat cages. So the person that works with that guy and is affected by it comes home and shares that with his spouse or whoever is there. He unloads over dinner. And then after that, once the spouse has done their duty of listening, he goes online and he continues to unload about it on social media. Then he goes to bed. And guess what? He gets to think about that for the next 8 hours. 8 hours is an amazing amount of time for universal mind, or what we call universal law, to create. So when you go to bed, you want to be working on affirmations, on treatment work, watch a YouTube video about something you're hoping to accomplish, and then giving the universe 8 hours to work on that. A lot of times we get up in the morning, we do our spiritual work, and we go off to work. And that's about 2 hours. So be advised, you can do it for 8 hours and have a much better experience. For this guy who's taken it all in, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. He's just going to have more stuff come up, and he's going to say, see, that's from that guy. See how it's happening? So a lot of us labor under the delusion that we are constantly in contact with difficult people. We see them as needing so much correcting that we fail to realize they are actually bringing us a gift. They are bringing us something that we need to work on ourselves. Now, this is understanding the law of attraction, or a truth bomb, I hate to say. We attract those into our world who are somehow a vibrational match to us, to our vibration. So that person that is triggering you is showing you have something that needs help here. You have an opportunity to work on it. I had someone that was really triggering me in my personal life, and this was a few years back. It was before Cobra. And I was going to my first A Course in Miracle group. I decided to study that for a little bit because I had heard Course in Miracles from a religious science person on Unity FM, and I understood her language. It was the first time it made sense to me. But I shared with the facilitator of that, who was like a Unity minister, about my problem, about this person in my life that's just unimaginable. And how do I get out of that? How do I deal with it? And he said, that person is your savior. The person is your savior. So then you take that within, you go back and do the necessary work. If you don't know what the necessary work is, it's good to have a practitioner or a minister you can talk to every so often. Because even me, I need help. And I have different ministers call me during the week just to be nice to me. And that is so uplifting, I can't tell you. I've been to a few New Thought conferences that I'm noticing the past 4 years or so. They're having people take a number. They'll have them come up to the front and take a number out of a bowl. They've got to take them. There's, say, 50 people in the room or 100 people in the room. There's 2 piles of numbers all mixed up. So Judy gets a 1 and Lynn gets the other 1. But y'all don't know each other. You're at a conference. So you have to go off and figure out what drew you together in that moment by that number. And everyone gets one of these. And it's a really cool thing because as you sit and talk, sometimes you get it right away. Sometimes it's 10 minutes. But that's what you two have an alignment with each other. And then, of course, there are people that do it on Zoom, and they send you off to a room with somebody else, and I hate that because there's no getting out of that room. You are in there, and you have to work it out. But that's another way of doing this if you're not doing the large conference. When Jesus was going through, headed to the end of his life, he said, I am not of this world. And what he meant was not of this world of fact and form. So he wasn't buying into the other stuff, the other people, the ego level. We never heard he said something smart and pithy from the time he was arrested to the time that he died. He saw God, he held God in his mind. From his behavior, we can see this. He was able to see God in every person. He was able to respond only to God in those persons leading up to his crucifixion. So count God in all, right? Keep holding that. Mother Teresa would take volunteers that came to see her and drive them around in a van. And it was around Calcutta. She knew where all the destitute people were. And she knew where the sickest of those people were. And she would get them in the van, take them back to her hospice, her convent, and take care of them. They were bathed. They were put on clean sheets. They were attended to. They were given water. They were given food if they needed it or if they could handle it. And they were nurtured through their deaths. And I'll tell you, I'm a nurse as well, you guys, as a chaplain. I think leaving our body at the end of our life is every bit as important as being born in. But when you're born, there's a room full of people there to deliver them. And when you're dying, in most cases, it's just the dying person and the nurse. And to me, it was always very important that they were nurtured. And I came from a Catholic school of nursing, and they told us doctors don't do this. It's completely up to the nurses. You have to handle it. And so I was trained with that in mind. One thing Mother Teresa would do after they had died was give them a funeral according to their faith of the past. If they were Hindu, they got a Hindu funeral. If they were Muslim, they got a Muslim funeral. If they were Christian, they got a Christian funeral. So she respected the differences and absolutely served them. And I believe that our life journey together is to spiritual freedom or nirvana over many lifetimes, with all of us helping each other. That's why we're all here together at the same time, in the same place. Ernest Holmes said that we continue on with life in the hereafter, on yet another plane of existence. We just step out of this outfit, this earth suit, and step into the next one and continue on. The Laughing Buddha is about the Buddha looking at the followers coming along, at the little people, the little lives, and knowing that the struggles they're facing are really not that big a thing when compared to the world. The little issues we have are not a big deal once you release them. And he blesses you and honors you on that journey. Ernest Holmes would say we should not be giving our power away to anyone or something else. I would add to that thoughts that do not serve. We're focused on thoughts that do not serve. And when we temporarily forget about the power of God within us. The only method that Jesus ever used to change other people was to correct his own thoughts. And if you correct your own thought, the issue will go away, because now your mind and my mind will be attracting to it that which is a match for you in this higher level of consciousness. And as I know this for myself, I know this for you, and so it is. Thank you. Mr. Vance is going to come up. I'm going to turn this off so it doesn't alarm.
Thank you, Reverend. Yeah, you got done early. So
2 minutes.
So now it's time for our affirmation of prosperity. And everybody in the room, there's a basket in the back, or you can donate online. You can go to cslmidtown.org/donate or scan the QR code. It'll take you right to the donation site for doing that. And if you would say with me our affirmation of prosperity. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Judy.
Thank you, Vance. I hope that you will consider supporting our center. Just a few announcements. As some of you may know or may not know, our center is sort of between ministers. Right now, we have guest ministers every Sunday. So we appreciate the wonderful messages that we receive. So please join us online for the rest of the messages in August, and then the first week in September, I believe that's September 1st, we'll be right back here in this room. So I hope that you'll consider that. Also, the word from Vance is that we really need some tech support. Vance, especially on the first Sunday of the month, he puts this all together, and apparently there's a first Sunday of the month coming up in a few months where he's going to be out of town. So we're just trusting that somebody is going to be able to step forward and fill his shoes. I'm sure he'll be training whoever that person or persons is. So think about that. Anyway, next Sunday, our wonderful online speaker is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson. And his title of his talk next Sunday will be Trauma 101. So again, thank you so much for being here. Please join us for our potluck. And also after the service and after we talk about, whatever, have the final affirmation, we are going to have a way to connect with the people that are online. That's the whole purpose of this, is that we have all these people online. Some of them are out of state, and we want to have some way to connect with them. So that's why we have this. It's only like 10-minute kind of thing after the service. So join me in the affirmation for life. Here we go. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me, and so it is. All right. So, Vance, tell us what we need to do. Oh, there's a song at the end. Okay.
Hey, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have.